coming up on today's swim episode.
When you get ready to sit down and start working on your material, especially if you're using a lot of digital related stuff, don't start doing updates to your software, to your computer, to plugins when you sit down to create. When it's creation time, please resist that urge.
This is Swim, Success with Music.
What's going on, everybody? This is Walt, and you are listening to Swim, Success with Music. This is a podcast for singers, songwriters, beat makers, music students, producers. We are all about the music life, and this podcast is designed to help you get better at your craft, at creating, and who knows, maybe monetizing your musical abilities. Hey, welcome again to the show. I'm very happy that you are listening to what we're doing out there. And today I'm going to get to some tips that I have that will help you be more efficient when it comes to songwriting, specifically getting things done a lot faster when producing and songwriting. And before we get into that, know that today's show is brought to you by the Swim Master Melody Course. The Swim Master Melody Course. If you go over to our main page, successwithmusic.com, at the very top there, you will see a button you can click to check out our Swim Master Melody Course. This is a paid, online, audio-based music course that will show you the secrets to creating a phenomenal melody, not just by accident, but every single time. Whether you know it or not, a highly effective melody has a formula. Learn the formula from the Master Melody Course. Check us out over at successwithmusic.com. All right, so for today's episode, I want to touch on a topic that is really near and dear to my heart. So at the beginning of the year, I put out some music online through digital distribution channels, typical stuff. And you guys, if you're familiar with that, you know how that works. So as I got started in the year, I'm like, you know what? This year, I'm going to release more music than I ever have. I'm just going to every few weeks, I'm just going to be dropping new material, putting new stuff out there. And I put that one song out. I got song number 2 ready to go. And I don't know, man. I just started to slow down substantially. I had a phenomenal song idea. I'm still working on the song, by the way, so that kind of tells you something here. But the song number 2 really never got out of the gate. And at some point in time, I realized that, man, my goal of getting music out and pushing music out, pushing content out, it slowed down substantially. So here's the thing. I've learned that when I'm delaying in getting music out there, when I'm delaying on songwriting, or I don't want to say delaying, but maybe going very slow, I've identified a lot of killers to progress when it comes to the creative flow. And again, I want to share some of those with you today. And I'm kind of, again, basing this off of my own experience, but I found that some of the things I've experienced, you guys probably have as well. So let's go ahead and get to it. All right, so if you have aspirations of getting your first single out there, or you're working on a new single or an EP or a full album or whatever, you got to actually get some stuff done. I mentioned this in one of the previous episodes, if not episodes, that I work with one of my artists. And one of the things I'm always telling her is to move things along. Stop delaying, stop waiting, get content out. Guess I'm being a hypocrite because I'll give her that information. And then meanwhile, I just found myself as of late just being ultra slow in getting things done. And I've realized over time, getting things done slowly in music is an absolute killer. The reason for that is when you're really excited about an idea, you're really jacked about an idea, it's really best to jump on that idea and work on it because you're excited about it. But the longer it hangs around on your computer, on your phone, or whatever else it may be, you hear it a lot and you start to question yourself. You start to doubt, like, is it really that hot? And then the worst situation is when you hear something else like it out there, you think, shoot, man, this idea is already taken. Or you can go the other direction and feel like, this is kind of old. Maybe it's outdated. Well, it may not be outdated. It just may be that you've heard it so many times and you've procrastinated so much to where the song seems like it has no more relevance. So speed in the creation process is an incredibly important thing. All right, so let's go ahead and get to a list today of things that will help you write songs, produce songs faster. Now, I have a pretty long list, so I need you to listen very, very closely. All right, let's do it. All right, so let's talk about things that will help you create your song faster. The first tip, make sure that you start with some type of typical structure for your song, meaning maybe on your computer, on a piece of paper, in your DAW, come up with a basic song structure. And you can start with a typical song structure, meaning you would have, let's say, your chorus or your hook, and then verse, chorus, bridge, and maybe chorus. If you can just simply lay that out on a piece of paper or in your phone or in your DAW, sometimes just having that template for a song will help you flesh things out a lot faster, meaning having structure. So in other words, if you start to get some lyrics to the song or a beat to the song or whatever, maybe you can kind of visually look and say, all right, that can go over here to the bridge or over here to the chorus. And maybe if you start to develop some portion of the chorus, you can go ahead and copy and paste the content throughout the song. The point being is that if you lay out a structure for your song ahead of time and you begin to cut and paste some of the parts, especially in the chorus, it may make you feel that you're getting somewhere, you're making progress. So just having structure alone before you start can be very helpful. And if you get some lyrics that kind of float through your head, you can say, all right, can this go in the bridge or go in the verse? And again, it allows for those thoughts, those lyrics, that inspiration as it comes out to have a place to go. All right, let's move on to the next tip. Try to figure out in your song what you want to communicate. So this song that I mentioned at the beginning of the show that I was working on, my second song here that I was trying to push out, I knew, well, let me back up. I had the chorus. That part wasn't the problem. The verses, for some reason, I wanted to kind of get into detail and kind of flesh out the chorus by way of the verse. For some reason, I felt like I had the toughest time songwriting for the verse. What I did one day, I stopped trying to create lyrics, and I just simply sat down at the computer one day and said, okay, what is the point of this song? So instead of songwriting, I was almost doing like headlines saying, okay, this song is to communicate this and then this. I kept making bullet points. So as I did that exercise, it forced me to have more of a focused mindset when writing. So instead of just having lyrics just kind of wander off and trying to, force things into the rhyming pattern and things like that, I'm like, okay, Walt, what are you trying to say? When someone hears this verse, what should they get out of it? And then I start to look at the first verse as compared to the second verse. And typically, and this is kind of a side note here, in songs, I like the story to develop. So whatever happens in the first verse, I want to build upon that idea in the second verse, or maybe expound on that idea, or go further, or add more detail, or have some type of logical progression when it comes to the second verse. So again, just sitting down and outlining, what is the point of this song? What is the theme of this song? What is the feel of the song? What kind of emotions am I trying to put out there with this song? All right, let's move on to the next tip with respect to helping you get your songs done faster. Keep your recorder handy. Meaning, on your phone, if you have a recording app at your studio, of course, just have an area where you can just quickly load up maybe a scratch section or scratch session where you can quickly just throw out some vocals or maybe just plug in your guitar really quickly and get things done. This may be one of the obvious ones, but I'm telling you that sometimes I miss this. So there are many times where, inspiration will strike. and I'll try to sing that melody over and over again. Let's say I'm out, I don't know, at the grocery store or whatever. Instead of just trying to sing it over and over again so I can try to learn my own part, just whip out your phone and just record it. And a step further, on my phone, I created a shortcut. So if my screen is like on lock mode, I'll go ahead and flip up to the icon for my recorder. So if your phone allows for that, make it ultra easy just to quickly whip out your phone and find that recording app to get the idea out. I can't tell you how many times where I feel like I have this absolute killer like line or vocal or melody or part, and I'm kind of humming it over and over again. And sure enough, music from elsewhere will show up. It can be the TV. I can be in the mall and the music start playing, or sure enough, someone will, call me or what have you while I'm trying to do things. So the point is, always try to be very quick on the draw in recording that idea. And that way, those pieces, those parts, those melodies, when you get back to the studio, you can actually move things along a lot faster. As another tip, try not to do everything at one time when writing your music. Here's what I mean. You're trying to figure out the rhythm. You're trying to figure out the melody, and you're also doing the lyrics together. Those are very distinct things. And I've been guilty of trying to nail all three when I'm creating a song. So for instance, if I'm creating, let's say, a chorus, I may have the words and I may have like a melody, but as I'm singing it, I'm like, this sounds kind of plain. So then I may try to maybe syncopate the rhythm, for that chorus. And then as I'm doing that, I'm like, those words, is that too wordy? And then I'm tinkering with the words. And then after that, I'm like, this melody though, is there any kind of pattern there? And does it even match with the chord progression? And then I'm tinkering with the actual note selections. The point is, if you're trying to juggle all three of these things at one time and trying to make these things work together perfectly, when you're creating your song, you can find yourself getting hung up and going in circles over and over and over again. I highly recommend maybe just drafting the melody alone. Just pick your notes out, find out what key you're going to be in, and just pick your melody, or have some semblance of a melody, because I know that lyrics can change the melody, and then those lyrics can change the rhythm if you follow what I'm saying. But again, I think it's very good to just deal with one component at a time. And I mentioned at the very top of the show, for the melody specifically, if you're looking for ideas as to how to get that done, please check out our Swim Master Melody course. All right, let's go on to the next tip. Try to set a deadline for yourself. My problem was when I started the year, I told myself, hey, I have to get the song out by the end of the month. Sure enough, I went ahead, got my song taken care of, did the mixing, handled the mastering. I was good to go. And then when I started working on song number 2, I really didn't put a strong deadline out there. I just kind of like, hey, I want to get it done within the month. And then the month went by and it just never happened. So try to create a strong deadline for yourself. One thing that will probably build in some accountability for you is if you start to tell people, hey, my song is going to be dropping next month on whatever day, or you do like a pre-release, guess what? You have to hustle up to make that date happen. So if you need some accountability, maybe start telling people, hey, next month, next week, this summer, this fall, what have you, new materials dropping. But try to put deadlines and force yourself to finish. If you don't specifically, who else will? So sometimes creating artificial deadlines will aid you in getting that thing done. All right, going back to lyric writing. When I was working through my song and trying to figure out the lyrics, I would write something down. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. And then I'll write something else down. I'm like, oh, that sucks. And then I'll write something else down. I'm like, that's awesome. And then I'll go back and then I'll erase something and then I'll keep the good stuff. Here's the point. Keep everything. Don't get in the habit of deleting and erasing things. So this song that I was talking about or alluding to at the beginning of the episode, my lyric sheet now is like beyond 2 pages. And the reason is I'm not deleting any ideas. I'm leaving everything out there. And when I did that, I realized that, oh, wait a minute, line number 2 may match up with, at this point, line number 17.